Ain't no sunshine
when she's gone. Man, what did we just get up to? What did we do?
Dude, we had a really good chat with the amazing Andrew Buckley, author, conference host, crazy guy.
I feel like we're always too nonchalant with him because we know him so well, but we had him on the podcast and it was fun. It's always good to see him.
I think we can both agree that he's our people. Like whenever we see him at a Comic-Con, or whenever we see him outside of a Comic-Con, Boston Pizza specifically, he's awesome to chat with. His family's awesome. Like he's good people.
Good people. Yeah. We talked about his thing, his gig, his conferences, his authorships, his books. And then we dove into, he wrote a screenplay. He went to school to be a screenwriter and kind of got kicked out of Hollywood. He was too good. He was way too good. But he wrote a feature film that they're working on. And then we talked about movies, bad movies. How do they get made? And just the movie business in general, because we love movies.
I think the key thing with him is we took a lot of tangents that I think anybody listening can relate to.
Enjoy. Andrew Buckley.
And ever since I got a cat, by the way, everybody is tired of hearing about how I got a cat. So I'm going to get it right out of the way right now. I got a cat.
I didn't know you had a cat. Tell me all about your cat. Everything about the cat.
Okay, great. I think the listeners are going to appreciate me talking all about the tabby cat I got. So I have a cat, and I'm just noticing that I'm just not calling him by his actual name. Do you guys have animals?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
It's like the number one rule.
Right. Hey Dinko. Hey fool. Hey kid. Hey Chunky. Like I just random names. There's no cohesiveness to how I call my cat now, and I've only had him 2 weeks. So does that kind of resonate with you guys?
I don't have cats. We banned cats from my house for lots of really good reasons.
Okay.
Oh wow. Do tell.
Yeah.
They were all stupid. We got you never know which kind of cat you're gonna get. Whether you're gonna get like a good cat or a bad cat.
Spoilers, you can choose cats.
We did. And when you choose them, they seem cute and adorable and great.
Yes.
But they turn terrible. And after the last one, that was like 3 surgeries because it couldn't stop eating weird crap. We were like, nah, no more cats.
Okay, so what did you change to? Spider monkey? What type of animal do you have now?
We have a lot of dogs in our house. We have 3 dogs, 4 when Catherine's there. So we
Nice.
everybody has dogs, and that's fine. We just keep
Everybody has dogs. Like everybody has their own dog.
Yeah.
Well, because my mother's in the same household. She has a dog. Natty has a dog. I have a dog, and Catherine brings Luna when she comes. So we have 4 dogs potentially.
Wow.
Is it?
Yeah.
Are they definitively like each of you? Like I always think about like the old West where you pull your horse up to the saloon and you tie it up like it's your horse. Is that the same deal with the dog? Like it's attached to you?
Yeah. Dash is my dog, and Natty has Bean, which is a little rescue. My mother has Jack, who is a rescue, and Catherine got Luna, who's huge from the SPCA.
Okay. Nice. But at no point would you ever say we have dogs. You would say I have a dog. Dash has always been kind of my dog. Anyways, Luna is my step dog. Is how I refer to her. Yeah.
Yeah, but for the most part, they're individual, attached to the person.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that the rule?
He who picks the poop up names the...
Well, no, because then that would be the kids, because we make the kids do that.
You make the kids do it? Is that the rule?
It's a chore.
I guess so. I thought it was an honor to pick up cats' poos.
No.
No? Mm-mm. Okay. Because I've been jumping at the chance. I'm like, oh, this is so exciting. I'm sorry, Tanya, that I'm unable to get in there and do it.
Happily shoveling every day.
Yeah, I'm loving it. Oh my God.
It's like a scavenger hunt.
Please do more.
I found more.
More. It's so much fun. Oh my God. It is a gift for me. Thank you, cat. Oh my God.
Jeez.
Okay, well,
cool.
If you haven't figured out, we're already in. We're hanging out. This is kind of what we do.
Cool.
Just for posterity, can you tell the people who you are and what do you do?
No, let's just leave this a mystery. We'll just leave it as a...
Cool.
Tell people nothing.
No reference to his name.
No whatsoever. My name is Andrew Buckley. I am an author, speaker, creator of things. That's it. That's basically it.
That's it.
He invented the blender.
The blender.
Will it blend? Yes, it
Exactly.
will.
Oh, that's a great video. I love that. Well, you do. That's obviously very surface level to what you do. You do lots of inspirational speaking to people. You do. You write lots of books. You do you do books and comic books? Yes. No.
Yes, and screenplays and podcast and the speaking. I do a lot. It's really hard to like encapsulate. When people ask me what I do now, it gets so complicated. I do a lot. I'm an author. That's what that's mostly what I do, and everything else just bleeds out of that into the world. So
That's cool.
The words bleed.
I think Danny would appreciate. I'm a drone pilot / drummer / salesperson / talk show host, like all those things. But really, drone pilot encapsulates everything that I do in my life.
Yeah. Like when you go on flights, you give a little tip to the hat to the pilot.
I do.
you're basically the same.
We're the same thing. I'm like, 100%. Weather is pretty difficult going into Vegas. I know these things. I read the news.
Pilot to pilot.
Yep. We're going. Oh, you're going in the lounge? I'll see you in there. Obviously.
Little hat on. You take with you to some special occasions.
I fly drones, in case you're wondering.
Good drones.
Yeah, that's right. Do you feel like author it literally encapsulates kind of where your, dare I say passion, but kind of where if you had to just sit in one place for a while, like that's your definition?
Yeah, I mean, it's yes and no, and maybe and possibly. It's like I said, it's a little hard to quantify because as an author, if I was just an author and all I did was write books, I'd be homeless. But because I'm an author, it allows me to do all these other things that make a really good living from. So I've traveled all over the place this year. I haven't seen you guys in ages since.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It's been an age.
June? I think? Yeah. Kelowna Comic Con, I think, was last time.
Well, yeah, we ate pizza at Boston Pizza.
We had pizza, Boston Pizza. Yeah, it's been forever because then I basically took off. I was all over the place. I've been to Mexico and different provinces. I was down in Colorado. I talked to 19 conferences this year and keynoted at 3. So it's been like a crazy year. And I'm already booked for 13 next year so far.
Wow.
So the speaking thing comes out of the author thing, and everything else, including the screenwriting and the podcasting, which is more of a marketing thing, and everything else just kind of comes out of it. It's this weird ass career that I've crafted for myself.
That's cool. Wow. How do I get on the conference circuit? That seems fun.
Right.
You just ask.
Nice.
You ask and you get one. And once you get one and you kill it, then it's easy to get the second one and third one and fourth one. And then all of a sudden you have this weird ass reputation, and then people start calling you to come to them, and you still throw pitches out for the other ones. And
Fools.
yeah, I know, idiots.
Yeah.
They keep paying me to go places and do stuff.
Do you have an email template that you can send us that just it guarantees everything if we just pitch it to somebody?
Yes, I have one magic bullet that I fire at everybody. Nah, it's always
Right.
Yeah.
Oh man.
There was a
go for it, Danny. Yeah.
there was a local conference for marketing a couple months ago, and I kept getting ads for it. And I was sort of like, man, I'd love to go and keynote at this conference on how to better market this conference. And just blast. And then, like, I was like, should I actually do this?
Okay, so that is the pitch.
I chickened out.
That won't work.
Just blast them. Just
That's great.
Yeah.
I've only got one email. Can we talk about your emails? Yeah.
Yeah, I feel I should speak at your conference because you're doing a terrible job of marketing your
Yeah.
marketing conference, and I feel I can tell you how to market your marketing conference much better.
I could have did it. I could have pulled it off. I
I
should have.
think you could have done it. I think you could have
Yeah.
done it.
Oh, Danny,
Was it
you
the marketing summit one or digital marketer or whatever? Because I know there's a one that happens in Kelowna in the summer and then happens in the Vancouver in the fall. I tried to get into it once, and I was meant to go meet them for drinks and stuff, but I got double booked or something.
I have to look it up. I don't know. Maybe I should
their communication
reveal who
wasn't
it
that
is.
Maybe
If I don't reveal who it is now, I lose. I can do it next year.
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
But
That which
yeah,
we
the
do not
conference
speak.
the conference thing is interesting. Like that's cool. I love that you're making a living on doing it, and it fuels your other stuff. That's cool, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's fun. It's different, and every single one is different. And I do a variety because I do a very, very small amount of Comic Cons because they don't pay shit generally to teach teachers how to teach stuff. And writers conferences obviously are the big ones. And then this next year, I'm also going to start doing marketing and business conferences as well to teach people how to communicate better through storytelling. so they can, help with team building and marketing and communication and the whole 9 yards.
Okay. So first of all, you're just a guy to us. You're just a big nobody, right?
Yeah, a true story.
100%. You're just a big nobody to us, right? And what I always kind of forget is that, like, some people that we know do really cool stuff and are they're humanized to us. You're just a guy that we know, we have a good time with, but you do really cool stuff and you're kind of in demand by people. So, like, how did you get to that level, I guess?
I don't know anymore. Yeah. It came from like a place of necessity. So, I mean, I'd been published in writing since 2011-ish, I think, but I was still working the day job. I was still doing, all the side hustles while working 40 hours a week and raising kids and family and all that other stuff, right? It wasn't till 3.5 years ago, almost 4 years ago now, when I decided I was in a financial position to take a couple months to see if I could actually make something out of all those side hustles. And so I quit my day job and took the leap. And then it was a matter of saying yes to everything for like an entire year.
Yes.
Of freelance and speaking and whatever kind of came
shitty
my
podcasts.
way.
Yeah.
Shitty ass podcasts. Yeah. But now so refined. Now, I can be real picky.
Hashtag professional.
So it's totally different. And yeah, it just kind of advanced from there. And then after a year, I kind of realized how fast I'd be rushing towards a burnout if I just kept saying yes to everything. And so I kind of took a step back, evaluated everything I had, and then started to focus on the stuff that I, one, really enjoy, and two, really pays well, and would expand my brand in the direction that I wanted to go. And it just I had to say no to some people that I really admire and love, but at the same time, it definitely furthered my career. This last year was last year was like such a great professional year. This year has been even better, and next year is shaping up really great. So it's just been a really cool growth few years for me. But I don't know how I got to the point of being in demand. Really, I'm younger than a lot of people who do what I do, even at 44. So that kind of helps, I think. I'm also pretty quirky and irreverent, and that a lot of people don't dare. So I think that makes me stand out a little bit.
True.
Maybe that's why, yeah.
You took all these micro steps to kind of get where you are right now. And like, I think Danny can empathize that, especially as a drummer, like you get called for one session, you get called for another, and then eventually you're just kind of playing a whole bunch of shows and you're doing lots of things, and you kind of forget that back in the day you were kind of begging for shows, you were begging for marketing, but now you're a bit in demand. So those little micro steps build up to you being a busy guy, but you think you're at this point where you get to choose what you're doing, I guess, now, right?
For the most part, I put out a lot of pitches every year for stuff that I think I'd really like to do. I get invited back to a bunch of stuff I've already done, and then it's just a matter of like calendar dancing to see what I can fit in, what I can do, what I can't do, and what's going to overlap, or can I be in this place and 2 days later be in this place? Is it conceivable? It is a bit of a balancing act, but yeah, this last year was great, and next year is shaping up real good, and there's a lot of stuff I still want to do, and I get to work towards all that stuff now. It's pretty great.
Damn.
Dope. Mm-hmm. All right, podcast over. Cool. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. Yeah.
Sorry, quick.
Everything's going well.
Tanya's disciplining.
Is that what's happening? The cat? Is it disciplining the cat?
I'm hearing no. No, we're good. Okay, good. Oh my god, massive distraction. Oh my god. Andrew Buckley is a film school educated writer, which means he spent most of his life with no money and a strong opinion about bad movies. Today is traditionally and self-published novelist of rather silly yet enjoyable fiction for all ages. A comic book writer, screenwriter, podcaster, creator, and keynote speaker. He has a terrible habit of writing with a humorous and satirical slant, despite being asked politely on numerous occasions to please stop doing that. Does that encompass you, I guess?
That's accurate. That's pretty solid, yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, I think so. I think the humor piece is something that got me a lot of re-invites. I'm never going to be this prestigious author. That's never going to be in the cards for me. And I talked about this with I have a co-author, Finian Burnett, who is a prestigious kind of author, who writes literary fiction, who wins the awards, who gets invited to the big events. I write crap about goblins and trolls and dragons and shit.
Quick side. Are you on the plot of land that is awesome?
I am on the cool plot of land. I can't even show you because it's dark and shit. But yes,
also it's 50 acres, but neither here nor there.
Yeah, no, I'm on the land. It's really cool.
Can you talk a bit about that for a quick sec?
Yeah. What do you want to know?
What is it? Because you talked a while about it, or you mentioned it the last time about how you're developing some land. Oh, well, Catherine was developing some land and you're building sheds. And I kind of want to know more about it. I'm super intrigued. Outside of being an author, you have this little passion. Tell me about it.
Catherine's land that she purchased with a group of investors is 50 acres out in Caledon, and it's a beautiful piece of land. It's all off-grid. They're building a small co-housing community as well as a Airbnb retreat, which is really nice. And they've done so much work this past year. Like, it's crazy. But the snow's hit now. Like, everything's kind of shut down. So everyone's kind of hunkering down and chopping wood and trying to make sure they can get through the winter before it all ramps up again next year. But it's a gorgeous piece of land. They've done such a great amount of work here. It's really cool.
What inspired the impetus of that?
It was Catherine's dream from when she was like a teenager. She always wanted to kind of do this co-housing community where there could be a generational piece, where it could be for the kids as well if they wanted a place, and it would be off-grid, so it would be mostly self-sustainable. And so she put it together. She decided at the beginning of 2023, that was the year she was going to do it, and by November she purchased a $1 million piece of land.
Wow, crazy. That's amazing.
Is there maybe a misconception that maybe, like, are you just eating corn all the time, or are you playing PlayStation every night?
No, you can play PlayStation here. A couple of the residents are heavy gamers, so yeah, that does happen.
You can't really get doxxed, I guess, right?
No, that's probably why the Starlink is so crappy right now. Is probably people playing video games right now.
Somebody's on COD right now, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, exactly.
Pirate movies.
Yeah, right.
Well, we are gonna run some writers retreats out of here next year, though.
Oh, cool.
The plan. Yeah.
Wait, what does that mean?
We'll have some writers come here and like to pay to come and do a retreat. We'll teach them some stuff, and they'll stay for a couple days and do some writing off grid, without the distractions and such. And we're gonna pilot it and give it a try next year. I think in maybe August or September.
Is that where you get like the tents and sweat them out?
Harley Davidsons too. That's what they ride.
Harley Davidsons.
We can sweat them out if that's your preference.
That's fine.
It's always an option, I guess.
Always an option. Yeah.
And it's a pilot. I know what that's like.
Yeah,
pilot.
Because you're a pilot.
I'm a pilot. Yeah, 100%.
As we mentioned earlier. That's right.
You can go into the Air Canada Centre because you have a pilot program.
Pilot's license. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. That's amazing. That's quite an accomplishment to start something like that. That's crazy. Yeah.
Oh man, I mean, I just come here, chop some wood, and then leave again and fly off somewhere. But it's amazing the amount of stuff they've done here. And I'm super proud of everything they've accomplished. It's wild. It's a crazy amount of work.
I wasn't joking. I kind of followed up. I still follow it where like you built some sheds and you built some homes with your hands. It's got to be like so fulfilling to know that you're a part of this program.
I built a shed and mostly I just chop wood. Everybody else does the building stuff. That's
Captain America can tear it apart with his hands.
I've torn some things apart with my hands, and it feels really good. I get it.
Really?
I get why he does it. Yeah.
That says a lot about the wood. It is
does.
a weak,
it's really weak. It's
wood.
so brittle. Yeah. It's the most brittle wood possible.
Brittlest wood in the world.
Yeah, nothing to do with your strength. Nothing.
Nope. Nothing whatsoever. Toddler cut it in it. Yeah.
Oh, that's really funny. Can I pivot here for a quick sec?
Yeah, absolutely.
Your podcast.
Yes.
Tell us a bit about what people are expected to get with your podcast, because it's behind your Patreon, which is rad. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah. So it is part of the Patreon as far as getting episodes earlier is concerned and ad free, because the podcast does live on Spotify, but it gets released week to week. Where Spotify or Patreon, you get it right away. It's Story Centric was started just over a year ago now, so I think it just had its anniversary in August.
Ooh.
And it was started selfishly to talk to people that I wouldn't normally have access to, and act as a bit of a marketing machine for myself, and hopefully become monetized so that I can sell ad space and such on it. And it can be something that will be a little bit of, I want to say passive income, but as you guys are probably aware, there's like nothing passive about creating a podcast.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
It's a shit ton of work.
It's full income. We're paid full money for this.
Oh, man.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, that's how podcasts work.
So yeah, it's I don't know, it was great. It's been really good. I've been really excited about the people that have said yes to be guests on it, and it's also given me a crazy in at different conferences again, because if I say, you know, I'd like to come and speak, also I have this podcast, I'd love to interview this person, this person, this person.
Yes.
Everybody just lets me do that, which is wild.
Right. You get access and then you can do the podcast with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Wow.
exactly.
Which is good networking anyways. Podcasts are generally, look, these three idiots here talking, it's really just people talking about what our passions are, and somehow there's other people driving in their car right now listening to us, right?
Right this second. Yeah.
It's true. It is pretty weird. Podcasts, great. Great marketing, wonderful networking,
Yeah.
opens lots of doors, pays a
Yeah.
little bit of money. Not much money, but it pays a bit of money.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. Danny,
Cool.
what do you got?
Well, I mean, I think we should talk about not yourself. Jeez Louise.
Agreed.
Come on.
Oh, no, come on.
He's a-
Come
You
on.
have
I wanna
like
talk
30
more
seconds
about-
you have 30 seconds to pitch your next. No, I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
exactly. Yeah.
Your latest book, I want to touch on this because it's a good segue into what I would like to talk about tonight. Horrible Christmas Fairy Tales. Tell me what that is. Tell me.
It's right in the title, my friend. It is some
Tell me more.
horrible Christmas fairy tales. I wrote my first foray into self-publishing, because I do both. I have a traditional publisher and I have an agent, and then I do some self-published work. But my first time doing it was a collection of horrible fairy tales, which was like 6 fairy tales. And that stupid little book has been my best-selling book for like 2 years.
Wow.
Like, everybody loves that thing. So I decided I would do a Christmas version this year for people who really like it. And it's, you know, it's kind of like the old fairy tales where it kind of has some fairly horrific endings, but it's also really funny, and it teaches important lessons about life and the universe and such. And it's just a fun little holiday thing for people who don't like all the glitz and cuddly, warm stuff.
I like the stories when it ends in child abduction.
Abduction.
It says so much about you. It's ridiculous.
That tracks.
Yeah, 100%. That's classic Swedish, Norwegian fairy tales. That's fine. Really.
Yeah, very much so.
Okay.
We learned about publishing from Nick Eames at the Pentacon we were at.
Oh, you
the
met
other day.
Nick?
Oh, yeah. Nick
Yeah.
was great.
We like Nick. We kindred spirits. Yeah. He talked a lot about like publishing and whether you self-publish or have like a agent and whatnot. But you're telling us you can just choose when to give the book to them or not?
That's
Like, isn't that like this is a zinger, so I'm going to do this myself. We don't need you. Is it?
Okay, so, well, first of all, cool tangent in that Nicholas Eames, I read his book a year and a half ago, Kings of the Wild, and then I interviewed him. I asked him if he would be on Storycentric, and he was earlier this year. And then when Lily asked if I would go to Pentacon this year, I was like, absolutely. But then I got an offer from a really big conference that I couldn't turn down. And so I connected Nicholas to Pentacon. And that's why he went there.
It's because of you that we knew how to make waffles. Thank you.
Because the only reason you know how to use that waffle maker is because of me, gentlemen. You're
Dude,
welcome.
full circle.
He told us that, and when he said your name, we both like
That's right.
uttered the noise of disgust, and we were like,
I forgot.
oh, no wonder we're like literally best friends within the first 10 minutes of meeting each other. No wonder.
makes
This
Danny,
tracks.
when he said Andrew's name, I remember you and I just went, "Oh, that fucking guy!" right in front of a full audience. Like that was
That's
hilarious.
amazing. Yeah, Nick is good people. I love chatting with him, and I was really bummed that I didn't get to meet him because we still have not met in person.
Oh man,
But yeah, we couldn't make it work. But that's really cool. I'm glad he made it, and I'm so glad you guys got along. But yeah, the publishing thing is weird, man. I mean, I crapped all over self-publishing for years when I was teaching novel writing, and because it had a stigma. it always had this thing attached to it where, you know, anybody can be an author, and a lot of established authors were like, fuck that shit. That's like, there's no gatekeeper. Anybody can just publish whatever they want willy-nilly. And then it started to kind of, that boat kind of, oh, am I doing it again?
Yep. Give it a sec.
Yep.
Catching up.
You're speaking spell. Yeah, you're good.
Am I good now?
Yeah, you're good now.
All right. The boat started to turn around on self-publishing. There was less of a stigma and more of it was a kind of a pro, in like a feather in your cap, if you could do it well. So I decided I should give it a try and see how it works. And that's when I did the fairy tales. And now we've self-published like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 books. And they all sell like crazy.
Weird. Wow. So do you, one of the things that he mentioned was like, by self-publishing, you have to market the book. So what's your secret? What's the secret juice for that squeeze?
Well, I have a podcast, and I go to conferences and talk a bunch of stuff. And
whoa!
Yeah, it all feeds back into itself. And even in Nick's position, I mean, he is agent and he's with a big publisher, and he's done really well, and his book got really big through TikTok too. But even then, you still got to do so much of your marketing yourself, whether you're traditional or self. Even when I was only traditionally published, I still did most of my own marketing, because there's so many of us now. It's such a flooded market for artists. You have no choice but to try and stand out in the crowd.
Fair.
You really have to sell your wares like you're selling elixirs and that type of thing, like standing in front of your booth. Right?
I'm really, just flashing people on the corner these days. It's basically what I do.
Does that work?
Works for politicians, I think.
Works pretty good.
It really does.
Yeah.
And
so do you have to give
picking your values? Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you have to like give your publisher the option of taking it on, or is there just like you can choose when or not to give it to them?
I can choose what goes to market, like to traditional market, because I have an agent. It all goes through her. So she has 4 novels at the moment that I've written that she has to sell. 2 of them are co-authored. And then I can choose what bits and pieces I would like to self-publish and control completely 100% myself.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the control. I'm not saying I'm a control freak or anything, but I do love having that sense of I can do whatever I want with it. I can buy as many of my own copies and sell them for whatever I want. And I can market it my way. If I want to put humor in it, no one can say, don't do that. Because as a publisher and an agent, they do get to say, you know, how you present yourself and those kinds of things too. And I like being slightly rebellious in that sense.
It's quite the risk, though, is that you're doing everything, so you're only accountable to the work in which you put in.
Totally. Right? So if I fail, it's all on me as well. But totally. I tend to be very driven and stubborn, so I usually find the angles and I work them as hard as possible. While still writing. Like that's the challenge, is that the challenge is just being able to write something, hand it off, and go, okay, I'm on to the next book, while somebody else worries about absolutely everything else, right? Yeah, totally. I mean, that's no desire for that. Well, that's kind of what we've done with Night Terror too. I mean, George is spearheading the Night Terror project at this point, which is the feature film, which is still supposed to go to camera this next year in 2025. Yeah, him and I were chatting a bit about that. Yeah. Tell me more. I don't know anything about this. Oh. Go on, PJ. Do I know about it? Yeah, I was part of the table read. You were there for the table read, yeah. Yeah, you said that with a question mark. I was literally across from you. No, what was that question mark? I was saying you were there for the table read. Okay, good enough. Felt like there was a question mark at the end of that. You were there for the table read? We were in the same room. Yeah. We were. Staring at each other lovingly. It was lovely. I got invited, humbly invited, to be a part of the table read for this, with a dozen or so people around the table, coincidentally. Yeah, it was a lot. And that was a fun story. It was a great story. Yeah. So I was looking forward to that showing up somewhere in real life, IRL. Yeah. So we finished the comic book, because we did a comic book version of it. That is done, and that will get released in the spring. Good. So that'll be a graphic novel, 4-issue graphic novel. And then the feature film version, George has been shopping around and getting financing together for that, and with the goal of putting it to camera. Yeah, he's going to be shooting it in 2025, which is awesome. Wow. Cool. So something written is now filmed. Is this your first
story to film potential?
This will be my first feature. I've had short films produced way in the past at this point, but this will be the first feature that I've co-authored on. That will be an actual legit thing. Yeah.
Okay, that's
Sweet.
Cool. That's pretty cool then.
Yeah.
It's a feature because it will be in Cineplex Odeon.
The Odeon.
The Odeon.
Is that how you spell it?
Odeon.
The Odeon.
Odeon.
Cineplex.
Odeon. Yeah.
Odeon.
The O is a ramp to fun.
That was a long story too, and it was cool. That was
So this has been on my mind quite a bit. And actually we just filmed our podcast with Michael Coleman, the actor.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool.
And we kind of asked the same thing.
Yeah.
We kind of asked the same thing. Like, or we talked about, I always talk about the Jerry Seinfeld quote when someone asked him why he doesn't do movies anymore. And he's like, if you're watching a bad movie, it's 2 hours. And if you're in a bad movie, it's 2 years.
Mm.
Like, and my tradition, because I just went on a lot of planes for work, is I love to watch like terrible movies on demand on Air Canada or whatever.
Nice.
And but I'm curious, is like
Dune,
like
trash.
You got a script in your hand. There's a confidence that it's good. What are the like? At what point do these big productions like they're like, oh God, we're making a pooper, like a total pooper? Like how does all that stuff work? Because clearly there's multiple creatives in a line that are like reading the script and like, okay, all right, this happens. But where does it all go wrong on the way to Cinema Town?
It's a crappy industry,
right?
Yeah, like as much as I think being a writer is challenging, I think the film industry, which is where I started, and the only reason I'm back into it again is because of George. But the reason I'm also not involved in the production side of it is because I just can't stand the reality of the film industry. I think it's this, so much is left to chance, so much is left to networking, so much is left to general happenstance and how people are feeling about one thing or another, or it kind of sucks. It feels like it sucks the creativity out of it, basically.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. But so I think people, they don't know. I think actors probably realize when they're in a movie and it starts to go bad. They can just see from the amalgamation of, man, these lines are not landing like I thought they would, or, this isn't working the way I thought it would, or this doesn't look the same way I thought it would look. Like, I don't think Sony, for example, puts out freaking Morbius and whatever the other crappy one they did. Madam Web, thinking this is going to be terrible. I'm pretty sure that when they're going into it, like, this is going to be gold.
Right.
And then it goes to shit for probably a gajillion different reasons.
Can I argue one thing though? Like, when, like, to almost as contrast to what Danny's saying, when Star Wars Episode 1 came out, everybody was like, poop-a-loop, that stuff is trash. We never want to see that. And it was only time that it took for people to digest it differently that it became something a little bit more palpable, right? So, palpatinable, sorry. And so, like, is it time that we need in order to appreciate some things that might be shit out the gate?
But that happens all the time. When the Blues Brothers came out, it was like a huge money loss. Like, people hated that. But now it's a cult classic. Everybody loves the first Blues Brothers, and we just don't talk about the terrible sequel. But but Star Wars was different. I mean, Star Wars was this crazy brand that we'd all grown up with. So if you're born in the 70s, 80s, 90s, we grew up with those movies, and we loved the shit out of those movies. When he did the prequel, we all universally hated those movies. But the kids that were seeing that stuff for the first time loved it.
Yeah, I remember liking it.
It's different. That's their Star Wars. In the same way, I have a Doctor Who. I have a doctor who I grew up with, and that was my doctor. People
Which one?
relate. Sylvester McCoy.
Okay, no.
Oh, he was a good doctor. Yeah.
Tennant all the way through.
He's a great doctor.
That was why you were growing up?
Tennant?
Stop.
Yeah, well, I grew up in England where they had it. Tennant's like new. That's the new.
I know, but he was so.
You don't tell me you grew up with that guy. That's not true. You would have been.
No, but we all resonate towards our, like, which one kind of hits you personality wise. Like,
that's true.
I feel like I'm a tenantman, if you know what I mean.
Tenement.
I'm a tenement. So yeah, I guess it's whatever you bring to the picture, how it resonates with you, I guess.
It's time and generation. At the same token, stuff that was like really popular in the 80s, you couldn't do today. You can do Weekend at Bernie's now. Like a story, like it would never, that comedy would never work today.
Would it though?
No.
Huh.
I haven't seen it in a long time. I don't really recall what it's about.
Well, it's really stupid. I mean,
hold on, spoilers in case nobody's seen it.
It's been 40 years, but
you'll figure it out. Yeah. The guy is he's a deadman, and I think he's a rich guy, and they all want to party at his house. So he dies, and so they just like puppet him the whole time just to keep him alive.
There was a reason though. I think it was like some money they were meant to get, I think, at the end of it. So they had to play out the scenario and make it like, but there's like a whole like necrophilia scene in that movie that you just wouldn't be able to do today in a comedy. Like this, it's just, so time is important, like, but generational cultural change is also really important.
Well, I think that hits it on the head because I just watched Superbad recently. And that zero could be made now. Zero about that movie.
Which isn't that old.
Oh, I disagree.
No.
What?
Really? Oh man,
come on.
Like that, or like I watched Biodome, Pauly Shore Biodome.
I watched that recently too. That does not hold up, which is a real bummer because I loved that as a teenager. But
totally, there is some very questionable scenes in that.
Very questionable scenes.
Yeah,
and
we watched
also
it like a month or so ago as well. Weird.
Yeah.
Wait, we all watched Biodome?
All three of us were in a Pauly Shore move? What happened here?
Yeah, because Emily was like, "I'd never. Who's Pauly Shore?" And I was like, "Oh."
Whoa.
I was like, "Prepare to be whelmed."
Let's wheeze the juice here. Exactly.
That might be an over exaggeration too.
Yeah.
Encino Man is the prime. Yeah, that could probably be made again. That could be made again. Yeah.
They could, but they wouldn't. That's a kind of a classic in its own right, and not necessarily because of Pauly Shore either. But he was obviously a prominent figure in it. But it wasn't like a Pauly Shore movie, like Son-in-Law or which was In the Army. Like he had this whole string of comedies, right?
Or they all part of the same universe, probably. Yeah. God, Son-in-Law was great too. God, that was such a great movie.
Son-in-Law was really funny.
I just remember the marketing. There was a lot of marketing for that movie. It was a huge movie.
It always involved some beautiful girl somehow falling for him at the end.
Which made no sense.
Yeah, totally. It doesn't make any sense. Ever. But it's good for the underdogs. These guys, these three guys on this screen right now. There's hope for these three idiots.
Thanks to Pauly Shore, the lessons that he taught us.
Yeah, he paved the way. Thanks,
really
dude.
It is a shame that those like
tribute
simple comedies are kind of dead. Like those 90-minute comedies don't tend to get made anymore for the movies, you know?
Yeah, I just had this conversation with somebody. Comedies and horrors, they've totally transitioned. Whereas you could have just a straight up no reason slasher horror in the 80s, and it was like, oh, it's the most terrifying thing ever. You throw that out there today, and nobody's scared of it. So
it has to be an 8-episode series of some sorts now,
or it has to have like some crazy amount of depth and backstory, and which is good because it's better storytelling. But it just shows how audiences shifted, and not because we got better or more intelligent. We just have such a plethora of options that whatever we watch has to be good for us to resonate with it.
Right.
Whereas in the 80s, we had 4 movies come out a week, maybe. And that's what we were living with. Like now we get like 300, 400 movies drop a week. It's a different world.
That's true. The quality, I saw an interview a while ago with, cheap Brad Pitt. What's his name?
Is it Disco Brad Pitt?
Disco Brad Pitt. Anyways, I saw an interview with somebody. And it was just about how film companies in particular can't put budget towards something that isn't almost guaranteed to be a hit. So like they can't do Sandra Bullock flicks anymore. Like that just can't happen anymore. Like the rom-coms are not going to the Cineplex, right?
No.
So it has to be high action, which is why a lot of the money's going towards Marvel films and like John Wicks and that type of thing. It's got to be a reason to go to the theater, or it's just going to be on Netflix and it can happen there. Cool.
Yeah, again, we were talking about how shitty the film industry is. Like it's dying a death. I mean, movie theaters are struggling. Streaming is kind of killing it all. But at the same time, we're also not going to give it up because holy crap, we get all this content right at our fingertips. It's a weird circular problem.
If anything, people are just investing more in their home entertainment centers so that they can watch Family Guy in 5:1, right?
That's important.
That's very important, probably.
Yeah.
The jokes land better in 5:1.
They really do.
In Dolby.
Remixing is really where it's at.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about this before. Like Spotify, people can blast that guy left, right, and center on Spotify about harming musicians, but the business exists because people want content and they want it as convenient as possible, right? They want to experience it as conveniently as possible. I think theaters, to me, I don't think they'll ever die. I think people will just figure out what the formula is to get people into there.
Oh, yeah. I can tell you a bit of what the formula is. That
Marvel.
No. Chicken wings and beer.
Oh, don't get me started about this. No.
Yes.
Nobody wants to eat chicken wings.
Okay, I talk a lot about this. So quesadillas, chicken wings, whatever you got to eat. But it's about creating the experience of going to the movie theater, regardless of the movie that you're seeing. You're going to see a cool movie, but I want to be able to go, can I get a Caesar, please? Can I sit here? Or crunch down on a hard taco while I'm watching some quiet, intense movie. I want that freedom. Just give me that freedom.
I mean, that exists already. They have those theaters, but they're no more packed than regular theaters are.
No.
They're not what?
They're no more popular than just a regular movie theater. Like it's not like people are cramming into those ones rather than going to a normal movie theater. So it's not like that's a draw.
Do you know what I like about? So we used to go to VIP theaters when we lived in Vancouver. Tanya and I would just go for one kind of main reason. We went to movies. You could drink Caesar. You could eat your quesadilla, whatever you want. Grab lunch, watch a movie. Great. And then we went and saw Sonic the Hedgehog in the theater, and it was like, number one, awesome movie. Number two, it was a normal theater, not VIP. Normal theater, back to back. Okay. And then I realized the problem with movies is kids.
Please elaborate.
It's childlike wonder really ruins it for them.
Constantly talking, constantly like, I gotta go to the bathroom. As a person that doesn't have kids, I have a cat now. I'm just like, I want full control of how I'm going to enjoy and take in this movie. And if I don't have full control of that, if I'm not in first class, like the old relaxo with a nice tall Dr. Pepper while I'm watching a flick, versus me having an old paper cup and a bag of popcorn in tight seats like I'm in economy class next to a whole family of people that have a 9-month-old child because they couldn't find a babysitter. My arrogance is just like, I'll take the VIP, please.
But I think the point you're making is the problem. I think convenience is kind of what's killed it all for us. Because now there's not just, 2 showtimes per night. There's like 12 showtimes a day for one movie. True. And you don't have to line up. You don't have to get there early. You just book it online. So people just don't bother the same way, which is a shame because I remember seeing Austin Powers Gold Member in a packed movie theater.
Yeah.
And it was the funniest fucking thing ever because it was a collective. Everybody was just laughing at the right beats. You see that, watch that now. I'm not sitting there laughing my ass off at that movie because, and the same with horror. You see a horror movie in a packed theater, oh man, it's intense.
Yeah.
Sure. Yes.
But you see it with just 2 of you sitting there being like, where's everybody? Not as scary.
That's fair. That's totally
okay.
Fair.
That resonates with me because one of our things, if we go see a Star Wars movie, you want to be around Star Wars people.
You do.
I
you
get it.
Be losing it.
But it does illustrate. Still, my point though is that nobody on a Tuesday afternoon is bringing their kids and to like a screening of on day one, for example, of Star Wars, like you got to get in there quick with all your people and you got to enjoy it around your people. Yeah. God, that sounds so brutal.
Your people.
Yeah.
People.
You know, like I get it day one, but if you're going to see Star Wars, if you're a Star Wars fan and you're there on week 3, like you're going to get the babysitter wanting to see the movie on a Tuesday.
Very good.
Like
day one movies are the best movies.
Has no one told you that they have later shows where they don't generally bring their kids? Like, has nobody told you this? Do you go at like 3:00 in the afternoon? You're like, la-di-da, why are all these kids here?
True.
Also, Sunday. You keep watching shit like Sonic the Hedgehog. There's going to be kids there, PJ.
It's a good movie. But that's the selfish thing is that even when I went to the Transformers movie, Transformers 1, like there was a lot of kids there as well. That was bonkers. And there was a lot of kids that like you could just hear them going, I don't get it. Who's that guy? Whatever. I'm like, just shut up. I'm trying to enjoy my childhood here. Yeah. Just shut the hell up. Just let me drink my soda and enjoy my childhood. Just, it was very frustrating. But then afterwards, I'm like, I'm glad there were kids there because it was pretty good.
Yeah, that's their G1.
It is their G1. Good answer. Yeah. To hearken to what Buckley there was saying, that this is their time. This is their time to get into what our fandom was, right?
Kind of, yeah.
I don't have patience for that.
It's kind of an interesting thing. Like I do a lot of work with social media now, and I do think people are going to be like, maybe paying to have 2 hours where I'm not allowed to use my phone is a good thing. And I think people are going to start to understand what they're getting blasted with when they're on their phone constantly and stuff like that. One of my good habits is like, if we're watching like a movie, I really try not to use my phone. I actually try to pay attention. Yeah.
I have a thing when I'm in the theater. I was just telling somebody yesterday about it that I can base how good the movie was on how much liquid I have left in my soda. So, perfect. I love that look. Thanks, Andrew.
Elaborate, please.
100%. I would never say anything and then not elaborate.
I don't know which way you'll go.
Yeah. So if at the end of the movie there's still a lot of liquid in there, then it's a great movie. I walk out the door and I'm like, oh my God, 3/4 of the movie was amazing. Wow. But if I have time during the movie to look down and I would have a drink. Oh, that's good. And then like if my brain is shutting off from the movie, that I'm like, I'm a little parched. I should probably drink something. Do I need to go to the bathroom? Like if my brain is all over the place, then it's not a good movie. Yeah, and that I don't know if I've talked about it previously on streams, but that has held true for me for decades.
There's a term for that. It's called the refrigerator effect.
Tell me more.
It's basically how you measure how good the content is that you're experiencing based on if you find yourself wanting to get up and go to the refrigerator and get some food. The more times you get up to go to the refrigerator, the less enjoyable the content.
Dude, so my theory is true. My thing is right.
Kind of, but what if you just eat a lot of popcorn? You're real thirsty. You might get through that drink real quick. Could still be a good movie. We don't know. What if it's Dune and it's like 7 hours long and you have no choice but to drink? Otherwise you dehydrate and die in the theater.
But that means it was a good movie. Paul Herman dies in movie theater.
See,
writes review right before last breath. Amazing film. 5 stars. Yes.
I thought you were going to say you drink your drink when it's a good movie because your mouth is agape.
That's a great point. No. I'll tell you this.
No,
not at all. Not at all. I'm distracted. I have ADHD. I'm distracted by what's happening up there. And I'll tell you, the last one we saw where my cup was, 3/4 was Transformers 1. We watched that. And I remember at the end, we were walking out and I looked at Tanya and I was like, check it out. Like I hardly took a sip of this thing. To be brutally honest,
check it out.
Check it out. She knows my scale. She knows my scale. But then, I watched Dune, and that drink was done in the first 15 minutes.
Right.
I'm like, where do I go to get more drink? Is there a place I can go hang out in the back and just stand and pace while I'm watching this movie? This movie was boring. I got so many distractions going on. I'm hearing people breathing behind me.
It's slow. It's a slow movie.
It's a slow burn, yes. But I went through liquid very fast. I was reminded that there was precious Dr. Pepper sitting next to me.
Wow.
Was it only because there's so much desert? And you're like,
Yeah.
I'm so thirsty. And they're like just keeping like all the water with their
That's a
still
great point.
suits and shit. And
Yeah.
is that why? Is that why you're thinking?
I think it's because we don't see a lot of people drinking fluids on film. If that happened more, I bet you movie theaters would sell more fluid.
You think so? I think people are more inspired to drink when they're not seeing other people. I don't know. There's probably some studies that have been done around this that we're not aware of.
One of my fondest movie watching moments was we were watching Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King.
Yeah.
And the scene where Frodo and Sam are all haggard and they're like on the mountaintops, almost getting into Mount Doom, and they're all thirsty and sweaty.
Yeah.
I like cracked a Coke can and everybody in the theater started laughing. It's like one of those like moments in your life you look back and you're like, God damn, that was funny.
Good. Yes.
But I didn't mean to think of it. I just was thirsty. But it's like,
But there's those funny movies in movie theaters. I watched Alien Romulus. Have you seen the new Alien?
We just saw it last night.
Last night?
Yeah.
Okay, so the one scene at the close to the end where
Spoilers.
I know, I'm
my
sorry. It's a slight spoiler. But when she's giving birth
Yep.
in the pod,
Yep.
it was a completely silent theater. Like everyone was so tense at that point.
Really?
And this thing like splurts out of her, and some dude in the back just exclaimed like, "Holy shit!" Like, completely destroyed the tension in the room. But his absolute exuberance and shock, and that piece was just magical.
yeah.
I think he probably saw it before and he was like just waiting for the
Just
moment.
waiting for the moment.
Yeah. Just like if you saw Oppenheimer, you're just waiting for that moment and then you just fart or something like that. Just
See, this is why theater movies are great. Yeah.
Agreed.
Oh, dude. But it's the experience. Like, okay, Danny, I'm reminded about when you and I went and saw Fast and Furious 9.
Oh my God, that was insane.
That was brutally hilarious.
Yeah.
That guy in front of us spilled all of his popcorn on that chair. All of it. Every piece landed there. And then what happened? He was sitting in the wrong seats. He had
Something
to be
like
moved.
weird.
Yeah, somebody came in and was like, "You're sitting in our seats," and he's like, "Oh, okay, well," and he moved to another seat, but meanwhile, it was covered in popcorn.
Yeah. Those like experience. You need those experiences in your life. Like we went to go see Fast 10 with a bunch of friends, and we were just cackling the whole time, and people were like, "Shut up, shut up," as if it's like a serious movie that you need to like pay attention to. But we were just genuinely like laughing. There were so many funny moments in that movie, and you can't.
We almost killed George McHale at a screening of Fast 10 because
Really?
we saw it in 4DX, and in the back, it's the seats that move. Like it all moves with you.
Really?
So when there's stuff happening on screen, you're shaking and shit, and it's spraying air at you, and it's like a whole thing.
Even when Vin Diesel is just like having a serious talk. Okay, go ahead.
Especially when he's having a serious talk.
That
Have
makes
you guys never been to one of those? They're definitely in Vancouver. They're wild.
I think I've seen them, but I've never been tempted.
It's worth to try, but honestly, like you get shaken around so much that it actually detracts from the movie quite a
Right.
bit.
You should
But
drink less. I got
We
that.
thought we'd do it because we were in Vancouver on like a business trip, and we thought we'd all go to it.
Yeah.
Me not really thinking George has a back injury, like a bad back injury,
Yikes.
and he managed to get through like the first 15 minutes of being like just shaken like crazy, and then he literally left the theater, and we didn't see him again. He'd actually gone and snuck into like a 2D one. There's no way he could stand it. It was killing him.
Can you fast forward 15 minutes?
Yeah, it was wild.
I suppose that would be pretty dank. Yeah, that's not good.
No,
Is that the next era of movies? Remember when they were trying to push 3D at home and everything?
Yeah.
yeah.
Your TV comes with goggles, and you're like, I guess I'm watching every
I have
movie
a
in 3D.
I have a 3D TV. It's not.
Do
good.
you really?
Yeah, we never did. We've done it occasionally because we have a couple of the Blu-rays. It's not good. It gives it depth, but it doesn't. It doesn't like. There's not like there's people walking around in my living room. Like it's
Right.
like you're looking into the television. It's not good.
Right.
3D
you
is
lose your
overrated like
immersiveness.
crazy.
Yeah.
But 3 dimensions are dumb.
They're
Dumb.
ridiculous.
Just
Yeah.
do things in 2 dimensionals. The way things have been done for 100 years.
What? Why do we need to reinvent the wheel on that? Come on.
But you're talking about 4D, where somebody is like, while you're watching the movie, somebody spits in your face, or what do they do?
Yeah, water, air,
Snakes.
shaking.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
There's snakes at my feet.
Oh my god!
If there was live snakes, that'd be a really crazy batch.
That's the next step.
Indiana Jones
5DX experience. Yeah, I mean, I'd say do it just for the experience, but you're going to find pretty quick that you'd rather just not be shaking around for 2 hours.
Not after you've had Coca-Cola.
Well, that's the thing, though. The drink things are in the seats, so unless you have like a lid on it, it's just kind of shaking everywhere.
Yeah. That's why they try to upsell you to the popcorn buckets.
Right.
Well, Catherine had a tea, which was not a smart idea. It's that's gonna be all over you. There's no lid. It's
Have
just
fun with hot water all over you.
Yeah, but nobody in the movie theater is like, you shouldn't do that. They're like, here's all your drinks.
So I mean, I look forward to seeing what happens with that movie you guys are producing. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's exciting. I'm excited to see how it all plays out too.
Yeah, but from the sidelines, you're like, this is my
removed.
You're like, I've passed the torch. I've done my job, and now it's meant to be made.
George is way into the movie production side of it. I've no interest in it anymore. It's something that appealed to me when I was 20, and now I despise it.
Right. What like is it the directing part where you have to kind of like put all the puzzle pieces together? Is it the producing part where you have to like kiss butts of execs and people with money? And
there is that is part of it. It mostly back in the day, it was the repetitive nature of filmmaking. Like making film actually is not crazy interesting. You're repeating scenes, you're shooting from different angles again and again, getting close-ups, getting wides. Like it's a lot. So I mean, I love movies. I love movies. I love watching movies. It's one of my favorite things to do in the world. But making it, seeing how the secret sauce is actually done, I could not care. I prefer to be ignorant of it. I don't really want to know. Not my thing. And also the Hollywood part of it, I hated it. We had one Hollywood meeting, which is basically where I was out, because I was on board with this whole thing and we're going to co-direct and produce this thing. We had one Hollywood meeting with a Hollywood agent for an actor and his manager, who was also his wife. And it was such a slimy experience. I was like, I want no part of any of this. I was so far out after that. It was rough.
I think about, especially as a writer, like, aren't you, or does it just flow out of your mouth, like, or out of your head? Are you not like writing and then rewriting certain things to make it fit? Like, you're constantly reframing yourself as you're writing, or are you just like, your fingers do the typing and then you're done the book and you don't even think about it?
I don't know. I write in different ways. I mean, I'm a heavy planner. It's why I can write stuff fairly quickly. Like, I do plot everything out really well, so that when I sit down to write, I can just sit down to write and just go at it for a few months. Right. It doesn't always work that way, but that's the ideal scenario. But everybody has different processes. I teach different styles of writing to different people because nobody writes the same, and not everybody thinks in a straight line. Some people think like way tangents or ADHD or in a curve or in pieces. It's different for everybody.
I guess you can empathize a bit with how films are made in the same fashion, I suppose, right? It's just a different media.
Yeah, because it's pretty rare that, I love screenwriting and I teach screenwriting a lot these days, which is super fun. I love teaching it. It is kind of interesting, the transition. Like, when you write a screenplay, you just got to be willing to let go of the damn thing, because after that it gets changed. It gets reinterpreted. Like, it's not like a novel where it's going to be a novel forever. A screenplay is going to be, different actors are going to interpret a character in a different way. Dialogue will be read in a different way. A director will decide this. A set deck will decide this. It doesn't become yours anymore. So you kind of create this baby and release it into the world and fend for itself, basically.
I always think about especially in the music industry, you could just be a songwriter. You just write songs and sell them to everybody, and there you go, right? Actually, quick side note to that, I saw an interview with Pharrell last night, and he wrote a whole bunch of music. Maybe this is common knowledge, I didn't know. He wrote a whole bunch of music, like 8 or 9 songs, pitched them to Michael Jackson. Michael was passing on it. He wasn't okay with it. So he pitched it to Justin Timberlake, and that became the Justified album.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and Michael Jackson was just like, he acknowledged that it was great, but he passed on it.
Wonder why.
Yeah, if I could just write screenplays and sell screenplays, I would just do that for a living. That'd be a blast.
Well, you have the secret. It's in your head. Just do it.
Yeah, it's the selling part.
You have to
You need a
sell it.
salesman.
I get. Well, that's the weird thing with screenplays, though. You can't. You need an agent to sell it. But in order to get an agent, you need a producer interested. But in order to get a producer interested, you need an agent to represent your work. It's this weird vicious cycle that makes no sense.
So your conferences are basically don't do it. Just don't do it. Give it
Not at all. I totally encourage
Give
people
up
to
on your
write-
dreams, son.
No, that is not what I do. I would never get invited back if that was my message. Although, weirdly, because we are on a podcast, I was at a conference recently where there was a dude who does nothing but podcasting and that's how he makes his living. And he spent the entire conference convincing people not to do a podcast.
Oh, that's good.
Get off my nut. Get out of here, kid.
Get off my nut. But I think that's the best part about doing something that you love to do is telling other people not to do it so that they are not competition for you.
Right.
Yeah, I guess. But at the same time, like I have a core value. The reason I do half the things I do is simply because, I feel really fortunate that this is my life and my career now. And I feel that because I have this tiny, tiny little sphere of influence, like if I don't use that to actually empower and inspire other people to do whatever their dreams are, to pursue their artistic passions, I feel that's a disservice. Like I think that's something that I should lean into, and I get a lot of personal value out of being able to do that.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you.
It's not how you get Bezos bucks, but it's
No, it's not.
admirable.
It ain't gonna make me rich. That's damn sure.
It makes you rich in your heart, though.
It is. It is.
Right in the
Yeah.
cockles.
Right in here. Right in here.
Being a mentor? Have you ever been a mentor to anybody?
Yeah, I do story coaching quite a bit actually.
Oh, somebody sits with you and you tell stories to them?
No,
That's
I work
called children.
I help them work through. Yes, that is. I mean, I guess I do that, but they pay me to do that. I coach and I mentor writers most of the time to get through their projects.
That's cool.
That's cool.
I think that's a massive thing to be leading into these days is mentor and mentee ship. One-on-one is certainly a lot more powerful a lot of the time than just, with all due respect, going to a conference and seeing somebody speak. Like I want to be able to like really connect with somebody one-on-one and find my pain points, and hopefully you can empathize with those and give me direction, right?
Totally. And even then even like courses. I mean, courses are great. I teach a lot of I just finished teaching 8 weeks of novel writing and 8 weeks of screenwriting, which is amazing. It was super great, but it's different in a class setting than it is in a one-on-one setting. So it depends on, I guess, what you want to pay for is what it comes down to, I suppose.
Yeah.
The facts of life right there.
The more money, Andrew will come to your home and sit on your couch with a notepad.
Happily.
Tell me more.
Yeah.
How did that make you feel?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about your mother. Is she hot?
Yeah. Therapy and story writing. How do you turn, it's that classic, write what you know. So if you know your depression, you write about your depression.
You write about your depression. Yeah, true story.
I mean, I think a lot about like how do you help someone like just simply like find their niche of like what they're best at writing? Like what are you actually, I don't know.
It's not
How did
even
you
the
decide on your niche?
I have a
You've got a few.
ridiculous sense of humor. So everything I write leans into that.
Nice. Awesome.
And I like fantasy. I like made up stuff. I don't like reality. I don't like writing about real stuff. That's lame. I like writing about the silly, weird stuff out in the world.
Yeah.
Your stuff is definitely weird.
Yeah.
Hair in all the wrong places. Werewolf situation.
Correct.
Death, the Devil, and Goldfish. And the Goldfish. What? Yeah. Which I think I own. I own it, by the way. I own your book. Yeah, people say that? Yeah, they own books.
Yeah, you own it. Yeah.
Stiltskin, Evil Dwarf in your bathtub.
Mm-hmm.
Like your lane to go to what Danny's saying. You're kind of all over the place in the best way possible, right?
Yeah.
Havelock looks awesome. Tell us a bit about that one, actually. That's kind of cool.
Action spy thriller. I wrote it as a kind of a James Bond love letter. I always wanted to write kind of like a James Bond daughter story where she doesn't know who he is and he was the father figure, but she kind of walks the same path, but from a female perspective. And I wanted to incorporate it and actually use characters because the the public domain rights for James Bond are different country to country. Like in Canada, I could write a James Bond novel with the characters using the whole mythos and publish it, but only in Canada.
Whoa, yeah.
Couldn't do it in the US, couldn't do it in the UK.
Interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's weird. It's super weird. But I wrote to the Ian Fleming estate and had a lovely conversation with them about it, saying, hey, this is my idea. It kind of ties in with this, this, and this. Like, how much can I say and how much can't I say? And they kind of give me like a do and don't list and love the concept. They couldn't publicly say, yes, we endorse you to do this, but stay away from this, but you can do these. And they let me kind of run with that story. And that's how that story came back. That's how that book came about.
That's
cool.
Actually
massive. The fact that you like went to the line, so you tested the fences, for lack of a better term, right?
Yes, I was testing for the weak spots.
Yeah, that's really cool. Okay, that's Havelock.
It's interesting that they know what they don't want you to do.
Fan fiction. How do I make James Bond kiss Doctor Who?
Totally, but that's different because that actually falls into parody law. Like weirdly enough, you can actually get away with that. But in this particular case, because it was set in the same universe, the same mythos, but years later, they were really good about it. They're like, you can't say 007, you can't say James Bond explicitly, like, you can say License to Kill, you can obviously use MI6 because that's public anyways. Like, there were certain things, I couldn't have a call sign M or Q, but I did call those characters Margaret and Quentin. Like, I gave them names that started with a letter, and that was okay. Like, it was those kinds of things.
Right.
Yeah.
You fool them.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Like, I mean, that's just interesting because they have to like basically define what their character actually is, right? Like, I guess for patent law and copyright law, like you have to be like, James Bond is these things, therefore you can't touch these things. That's cool.
Interesting. You have to protect your IP by defining the IP. Huh. The somewhat almost useful marketing handbook for authors and writers.
Yes, making use of my 20 years of toiling through marketing hell. I wrote that book. I started like years ago, like 10 years ago. And then finally I got it together this year and updated it and finished it. And it's been annoyingly the fucking nonfiction book that I'm not, ridiculously passionate about because I'm not passionate about marketing is the book that obviously sold the best this year, which is really annoying.
Everybody wants to do marketing now. Everybody.
Yep. Everybody wants to do marketing. Yeah.
Because everybody's a marketing specialist. Yeah.
It's all about marketing.
Yeah,
Marketing. Yeah.
Marketing is sales.
People just come into Teams meetings and they go, marketing. What is that?
So if I put this on the internet, I make millions.
Yeah. God, the stories I could tell.
100%.
Perfect.
100%.
Yeah. I actually had somebody say that. They're like, I'm going to start a YouTube channel and I'm going to put my music on it. And I heard that you can make like millions. So I'm just going to make one. You can get like 25,000 subscribers a week. And I was like, go for it, dude. 100% go for it.
Such crazy bullshit.
He's at
honestly, it drives me crazy that anybody who says, I heard you can do this and you're making $1,000 a day easy. I'm like, no, you're not, because if that was a real thing, if any of those were real things, we would be doing it. Everybody would be doing it.
Right.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. I think younger kids these days, they're just like, I want to aspire to have a YouTube channel. And you're like, okay, what do you want to talk about? I don't know. I'm just going to have a YouTube channel. Well, it's a little bit more than that, kid. Let's talk about it.
I get a lot of
the business is garbage.
I get a lot of TikToks and stuff about people being like, oh, well, if you want to make it on TikTok and Instagram, all you have to do, and they list out like this crazy list of like, you got to script out 100 videos, blah, 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 blah. It's like, bro, you're talking about a job. Stop it. Like, no. Like,
exactly. That's all it is.
I don't want to be long. Don't want to take the long way to be famous. What are you talking about? Like, oh, you just have to just bust your ass.
You need a viral video of you getting hit in the penis with a football.
Which does really well. Like, I teach marketing for college in Edmonton, and we talk about, why things are successful and why they're not successful. There's no rhyme or reason to any of it. There's things you can do that give you the best chance, but nobody goes into, create a viral video. No one is like, this is going to be a viral video. It never works that way. It's always like a, flash in the pan. It's lightning in a bottle. It's just a one-time thing that just happened at the right time with the right people, and it went crazy.
Yeah.
I'm noticing right now bad publicity is better than no publicity, especially with the Jaguar new font that they're using. Cool.
There's a lot. I like the capital G. The capital G's sick.
Did you? I guess this is not common knowledge.
No, I thought there was going to be more to that story, and then it just straight up ended.
I thought everybody knew about this. So Jaguar created a new font for their logo, and it's just turning everybody upside down that it's not good. But I'm seeing it through my feed all the time. People saying this is the most terrible font ever. But I'm just seeing it everywhere. People are, okay, now that I've said it and your phone can hear me. Jaguar. I think it's interesting because I was thinking about this while I was on my... Well, I was thinking about this on my my walk today because I take walks to think. That's marketing. The average age of a Jaguar owner must be crazy high, right? Like hugely, like even in terms of car brands, it must be higher. Like it's just like not in the Jaguar is just not in the public consciousness anymore. So sure, alienate those guys. Who cares? They're gonna die, right? So I kind of stand behind like them taking like a really big about face because I don't think the people who are current Jaguar buyers, I don't think they're even going to see or hear of this type of thing until they're dead, and then it doesn't matter. I think you're right. Nobody really, they're off the radar so much that at least now they're on the radar. Sorry.
Yeah. And if you follow like TikTok and stuff, Porsche's TikTok is wild. I love it. It's so good. Yeah. It's kind of like Unhinged.
They read Andrew's book.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it was. They read the book. Yeah.
They have it in a glass case.
That'd be amazing. I'd be so happy if that was the case.
Yeah. In the CEO's office. Andrew, I appreciate you hanging out with us today.
Thanks for having me, guys. This has been great. It's been nice to catch up with you guys.
Yeah, we got to catch up more often. We
really do.
We see each other like once a year or once every couple of years.
Once a year, maybe twice a year if we're really lucky.
True. But you're gallivanting all the time.
I gallivant.
Yeah. Thanks, dude. Anything special that you want to talk about or plug at the end? Anything we should be on the lookout for?
No, I mean, check out my stuff. Go to my website, andrewbuckleyauthor.com, and you can find all my stuff, links to the podcast, the books, the events, everything goes through that. So check that out.
Awesome. Sweet. Thanks, dude.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, man.
Okay.
You can press end.
Bam!
We're working 9 to 5 in a world so alive. Two friends in the office talking jive. They love the pop culture. It was their obsession. So they teamed up, had a brand new mission. Started a podcast just like